How's it going, everybody? So, last night, I basically was awake all freaking night because I decided to, for undisclosed reasons, consume a pretty massive dose of horny goat weed, as well as yohimbe and maca root, okay? Quite a few tablespoons of gelatinized maca and something like 5 or 6 grams of horny goat weed. And, I guess the yohimbe wasn't that bad because I am aware of kind of like how quickly that shit can turn south if you take too much. But like 9 milligrams of yohimbine from a yohimbe bark extract and kind of like and Source Naturals smell response formula. It's a combination of libido enhancing herbs. Don't ask me why I took that, but I did, okay? And I was awake all night. And then by the time I was ready to go to bed around 7 in the morning, I couldn't go to bed. Duh, right? Because I was so freaking stimulated, okay, from the yohimbe and stuff. And the other thing is by 7 a.m., I'm like, fuck, it's only a couple hours before I really got to wake up anyway to go and do all the shit I got to do. Because I have a whole task list of things generally with a very flexible schedule, but so anyway, I gotta wake up early. It's like I gotta wake up anyway, right? So obviously can't sleep now, and I'm still pretty pumped up from the freaking yohimbe, maca, and horny goat weed, which I've never really done an honest experiment with until last night on the horny goat weed. So I'm like, well, I got, so I'm just going to like obviously stay awake. But the thing is, now I've got to take some other herbs to keep me awake so I don't crash, right? To sustain that energy. And it is now almost 1:30 p.m. in the afternoon, right? Haven't eaten anything all day. And I feel really awake. I'm not going to say I feel good. Because I know my nervous system is stimulated out of my mind. I can hardly feel my tongue hit my mouth when I talk, which is actually a bit concerning, right? Because that used to happen when I had panic attacks and anxiety attacks, and it used to trigger panic attacks. But, because of my mindset hack that I've talked about, that most people are, I guess, not strong enough to do, I don't know. It doesn't really bother me anymore. But anyway, what inspired me to make this video is this morning when I was contemplating whether I was going to fucking die or not because of all the yohimbe and other shit that I took, okay? And I was laying wide awake at 7 a.m. I'm like, fuck, man. Okay? I was thinking about how imbalanced this type of behavior really is, especially because I know of people like friends of mine, or I did back in the past, especially when we're all young, we used to do shit like that all the time, right? But I know people who've done this on a regular basis, and I do know of people that I don't really talk to or associate these days who do shit like this on a regular basis, and it's way, way, way worse on a regular basis for them, right? But basically, how hyper-stimulated everybody is, how unhealthy, how imbalanced, ungrounded, and just like a complete lack of rhythm in people's lives that can really contribute towards problems like depression, problems like just like a really pressing, feeling of emptiness in people's lives. And burnout, and just in general, obviously, it's probably not good for the brain, right? Now, there's a lot of caveats I gotta say before I begin this video, and let me just state the subject of this video is that most people are hyperstimulated and living completely unhealthy, imbalanced lifestyles. Even you may not know it, but you might be one of these people. Okay, I'm not just talking about people who drink alcohol all the time and get shit-faced drunk, or who stay awake playing video games and drink energy drinks like I used to all the time and maybe sometimes still do with my boys. And then, if I have a girl who's actually cool, right? We might do some shit like that because that's what I like to do. I like to play like, you know, Unreal Tournament and like some really gory, violent video games, Dead or Alive and other fighting games when I have girls over. And typically we will stay up all night and have a really fun time. But I'm not just talking about that. I'm talking about, it goes deeper than that. Yeah, hyperstimulation. People are living hyperstimulating lives, very unbalanced lives. And if you're not happy with the way your health is, your brain is, your energy, your mood, your libido, if you think you have low testosterone or hormone problems or whatever, if you don't feel completely satisfied with your health and your energy and your well-being and your mental health and all these things, that this video is for you, and this is probably what you need to hear. Now, I will say, so people are hyperstimulated, living this kind of unbalanced life, and they're looking for more stimulation to try to help them sustain the stimulation. They're looking for nootropic herbs and supplements, dopamine boosting shit. Guys who are not even diagnosed with low testosterone, looking up the latest testosterone hacks, getting on Fedogia terrestris and fucking Tongkat Owlie, and all they're going to do is like whack off and watch porn or something. They don't have diagnosed low testosterone problem. They haven't gotten a clinical test. They might have symptoms, which if you do have symptoms of low test, you should wait till I explain the rest of this video later on, because this will help you. They're not competitive athletes trying to get an edge through legal means, which is interesting. And admittedly, I have some clients who, me personally, if you listen to all the shit I was taking leading in my last tournament, and right now leading in my next tournament, all the herbs and amino acids and things. But, if you're not, trying to get an edge in like Silicon Valley, if you're not a computer programmer who lives a demanding life and also, is trying to train in jiu-jitsu or something, or, and go to the gym and, or maybe you are a computer programmer and all this shit, trying to live a productive life, and you're looking for all these like nootropic herbs and stimulants and things, and you're looking to optimize tea, and you're getting into biohacking and all this shit, but you get drunk and get shit-faced, or you stay awake all night sometimes and literally not for productive means, but just because you're playing video games, or if you're jacking off the porn or whatever it might be, or you're trying to be super productive, computer programmer, Silicon Valley entrepreneur, personal trainer, strength and conditioning coach, fucking training jiu-jitsu, whatever it is that you're trying, like crazy life you're trying to sustain, but you're eating a diet full of processed foods, even if you're counting your macros, whatever. And you're looking for biohacks and shit, okay? You are missing a very fundamental piece of the puzzle that would solve probably 80% of your problems that you're looking into biohacking and supplements for, okay? A lot of people are looking, first of all, don't need supplements or even herbs or anything, right? But they're not, when they do look for herbs, they're looking in the wrong direction, not looking for the right type of herbs, and they have the wrong mindset, the wrong approach that makes them end up even worse than before. How many people, like I've seen so many accounts of people, they're taking like choline precursors like alpha GPC, acetylcarnitine, and other choline boosting amino acids and supplements, and then they like get headaches and they burn out. Or they're taking like mecunapurins or L-tyrosine, dopamine precursors, and it's like doing real good, and they hit a peak, but then they hit a dip in a valley and they crash real hard, and then they have these horror stories, and they're like, I tried to solve my chronic imbalances using another imbalanced herb like mecunapurins, and then I ended up way worse than before. Wow, mecunapurins sucks. It's like, it's not mecunapurins, it's you and your approach to shit, right? looking for coffee and all this shit to, try to get energy, which, by the way, is fine if you're trying to solve the underlying causes of your energy problems and your sleep problems, right? And looking in the right direction. But anyway, if you are actually living a really demanding life where you're actually productive and you don't have these negative habits like porn, like alcohol and shit like that, then it makes sense to try to look for things to get an edge and improve your performance, okay? Whether it's meconiprins, tyrosine, rhodiola, fucking cordyceps, fucking, even like baby yohimbe, right? Which I'm still jacked up on. Or Shilajit, which I started taking Shilajit. I'll make a whole video about that some other time. Trying to get an edge makes sense, but the problem is if you have these like hyper-stimulating, imbalanced behaviors, like you're scrolling through social media a little too much, right? And it puts you in an autopilot state of mind, and it takes up too much of your time. If you look at your, Instagram actually has a little section in the settings where you can view how much time you spend on Instagram. And if you're spending over, 30 or 45 minutes a day on Instagram, I would say 30 minutes a day should be the cutoff mark. You've got a fucking problem, right? And you have no business looking for nootropic herbs. I'll tell you what. I'm Hank Hill. Tell you what. Damn it, Bobby. All right. I'll tell you what. I'll tell y'all what. The best, like the most amazing dopamine boosting hack that I've ever done, and mind you, I'm not doing now, okay? Where I felt amazing is literally deactivate my Facebook account, delete that shit from my phone, and Instagram, delete that shit from my phone or whatever. Or at least severely limit my usage of Instagram, because I think Instagram is actually better than Facebook, and I don't think it's as pathogenic. But here's the thing. What people don't understand is one of the major leakages of things like dopamine, and that includes one of the major leeches of your motivation, your energy, your zest for life, and your ability to focus is... It's not comparing yourself to other people or, because you are thinking too much about the news or something. Yeah, that's part of it. But the major problem with social media and these other things is the scrolling, okay? And I hear too many, shallow-minded people who just kind of repeat shit that they hear and just go with it. They're like, oh, it's a comparison thing. It's because... you see all these people that look really, really happy on Instagram, and it subconsciously programs you to think you have to be that way too. Look, if that's your major problem from social media, you definitely need a really good professional psychologist, okay? And you need to read some self-help books or something, okay? Okay? Because the real fucking problem, okay, with fucking social media and these things is the scrolling. It's the scrolling, okay? It gets your mind hyper-stimulated to where it literally trains your brain to keep seeking new things, seeking new articles, new videos, new pictures every couple of seconds, because that's exactly what you're doing when you're scrolling through Instagram. Picture, a little article, and you don't even really take the time to soak up any one of pieces of those content. And if you look at it, videos on even YouTube now are getting shorter and shorter and shorter. We got these reels on Instagram. We've got these 60-second Instagram-style videos on YouTube now that are really dominating the algorithm. Everything is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, shorter and shorter and shorter duration of content. And what's happening to your fucking focus? It's getting shorter and shorter and shorter because these, people literally invest millions of dollars trying to get their products as addictive as possible, and they're succeeding, okay? And I really don't expect a lot of people to kind of buy into this and really take action. no one wants to hear this shit. And if they do, it's because they want to believe life is like doom and gloom. Like, look, social media has really good purposes, don't get me wrong. And I think it's very positive. And I'm going to make a whole video talking about the benefits of social media because people are usually like, oh, fuck it, it's toxic, it's the worst. It's like, no. It's just your unhealthy usage of it. That's the problem. But it is literally hijacking people's brains, their motivation, their focus, and their dopamine, okay? If you have not eliminated the addiction to scrolling, the addiction to constant seeking of stimulus, okay? If you're looking at the recommended videos on YouTube right now as I fucking say this shit on my video, okay? If you have this shit like kind of like minimized or whatever, and you're scrolling through new like recommended videos, or you're doing other shit, and it's not schoolwork, goddammit, or it's not some doing dishes or something productive. Okay, if you're just scrolling for new stimulus right now, recommended videos, whatever it is, scrolling through Facebook, scrolling through Instagram, you have a problem. You are addicted to scrolling. You have no freaking business looking for nootropics, looking for testosterone boosting herbs, looking for dopamine optimization shit, okay? The main thing that like literally the 20% of action that you can take that will yield you 80% of results in your dopamine is literally eliminating the succubus that is addiction to scrolling. And another thing, pornography addiction, the main problem with porn is the tube aspect, where you're literally opening up, like you're scrolling for the perfect video to like get off to or whatever. You're like, oh, I gotta see a new video. This one's not good enough. No video's good enough. It's no wonder why, this is so cliche and overspoken, but this is exactly why, probably one of the main contributors to the rise in chronic mental illness over time. In addition to the fact that our diets are getting shittier and shittier, and on social media, there is like a really big push to accept your fucking disgusting like attachments and addictions to unhealthy behaviors. There's nothing healthy about your whole mind and life and time being devoted to fucking scrolling, consuming other people's content, and anything and everything else that comes of it. So anyway, that was a big time rant, but that is the best biohack you can do. You know what else is the biggest biohack that you can do? Stop. Just literally unsubscribe from all these biohackers. Okay? These motherfuckers have a new biohack every freaking week, okay? And it's like literally people are like, oh God, look at my stack, guys. Look at my fucking nootropic stack, boy. I'm taking methyl B12, folate. I'm taking freaking choline precursors. I'm taking this freaking what is it, Folshoken or whatever. I'm taking, Macunaperins, and I'm taking this reishi, and I'm taking this. And it's like, you don't even know what the fuck's working, man. I bet you the majority of that shit, a lot, like what I've found after a decade now of like using supplements and changing nutrition and literally staying up to date on all this crap and all these fucking biohackers and these people and health experts and everyone in all different communities of these. The biggest thing I've kind of realized is like the majority of the supplements I've ever taken have either given me, okay, I don't want to say this. This is a stupid thing I was about to say, but I think a lot of people might be taking herbs and or supplements that might actually be negatively impacting their mood and their well-being and making them think that they have a health problem that they don't actually have. I've had clients who have had problems, okay? I'm not going to say anything specific. I don't want to give any like identities or anything. But, someone might be feeling anxious or something, for example, right? And they're like, oh, shit, I have anxiety or I have this, like, problem. And then they might be like, oh, it's because of testosterone and low T. It's because of candida or it's because of freaking adrenal fatigue. And they're looking everywhere except for the freaking obvious shit. And it's like, well, wait a second. What does your diet look like? And like, oh, I'm doing freaking protein modified sparing fasting, for 24 hours a day or something. And it's like, well, how about you just start eating a foundational diet of like based on animal protein you eat throughout the day, maybe try that. And maybe just eat in balanced macronutrients, right? And forget about all that other crap that you're telling yourself and focus on like just the most common sense things that are touted as being healthy first. Because everyone has this like, they're like, oh, the mainstream health, they don't give a shit about you and blah, blah, blah. And it leads people to doing crazy things that a lot of times actually lead them farther off the path than they really want to be at. So anyway, lots of people, like especially men, because men have a lot more to kind of look for in this thing. Like, not to, even, whatever. It's more, I think maybe it's more common. I don't know. It seems that way. And it would make sense. Like guys, they're, like, oh, I have low testosterone. And you have all these like gurus who are like, you got to optimize your testosterone and optimize your dopamine, right? And they'll consume hours and hours of podcasts about like how to optimize testosterone and dopamine. And I am guilty of this. Part of the reason why I probably know a lot, not to mention I've been consuming this content for hours at a time for over a decade now, because I've had the, ability to spend my time doing that, because that's basically what I do as a profession. Anyway, fuck. So, yeah, and it's like, did you even get a blood test for testosterone before you embarked on this like never-ending journey of seeking that next hack for your testosterone, right? These dudes on these testosterone-enhancing supplements, and they don't even have like low T. Now, admittedly, a lot of these things can help with motivation, dopamine, and drive. Don't get me wrong. But, especially like when I make a video about like these herbs and things, like, yeah, they're going to help you. But you need to have the bases down first. A lot of people, what they're looking for, the motivation, the drive, the dopamine, all this shit, literally will come to them when they stop fucking looking for crazy hacks. And I'm not just talking about a magic pill or a quick fix. I'm talking about people are looking for the Nirvana of testosterone, the Nirvana of health syndrome, literally, but it's just looking at, it's like, oh, but I'm optimizing. I'm just like, so you take something like, what's a good example? Damn it. So like if you have clinically low testosterone, I'm not talking to you. Tonkat Ali is an amazing medicinal herb. Okay, I'm going to say that right now, for men who have low testosterone. But it is not meant to be taken as a tonic. And there's a reason why a lot of people, myself included, have had side effects when they take Tonkat Ali. Now, most of my friends have told me, Wolfgang, like, you probably have high testosterone, get it checked, blah, blah, blah. I bet you have, like, high T. I probably do, but maybe I'll surprise myself and I'm like, butt rocket low. Is that even a freaking phrase? I don't know, but I made it up. Cause I'm on that freaking Yohimbe, fuckers. So I make shit up now. And also, side note, this is generally how I am when I'm around my friends, but I don't know. I don't have a reason to be when I'm alone, I guess. I don't have a reason to be this pumped up, but I am now, fuckers. Cause I'm on that Yohimbe, fuckers. I'm on quite a bit of actually stuff, and the stuff in my coffee is probably kicking in right now. Anyway, yeah. So what most people? So let's get to the. All right, most people, what you need is not Mucuna prurens, is not L-tyrosine, is not Tonkat Ali. Okay. It may not even be cordyceps or some of these things that I talk about, right? It may not be rhodiola, although rhodiola could be a good balancing herb. So a lot of these things, not rhodiola. Rhodiola is good. And cordyceps, if you take it the right way, is probably a good sustainable thing. But most of these things that you guys and you girls are looking at, these herbs, these supplements, and even nutritional things like raw veganism, for example, the Nirvana of health, y'all are looking for peaks, okay? Y'all are looking for high ends, like high peaks of euphoria, motivation, stimulation, okay? You want to feel like the best you've ever felt in your life, right? That's what leads people to these crazy things. Carnivore diet, which is not crazy, don't get me wrong. Trying to look after your health is not crazy. Looking for natural solutions to feel your best is not crazy. And desiring to feel your best is not crazy. It's just that this looking for that in the form of peaks like we're talking about here, you're going to have a crash, okay? Can't begin to explain how many times I've seen people like, oh my God, like I've been taking this herb and I felt great. It was amazing for like 3 weeks. And then I built a tolerance, it seemed. Or even worse, people will be like depression symptoms, right? Like you hear horror stories about some herbs where people are like, I took Makunapurins and it was great for like the first couple weeks. And then I had horrible depression and then I got off of it and it lasted for another 3 weeks and I almost killed myself and it was the worst thing ever. Makunapurins is horrible. It's the devil. It's like, no, maybe it's because Makunapurins is not meant to be like taken as like a tonic herb, for example. Makunapurins is meant to be taken if you have like Parkinson's disease. It's like a natural way that I've seen people, they use like some form of like dopamine high carboxylase inhibitors or whatever, like carbidopa or green tea extract, epicatechin gallate, to try to like, keep that dopamine sustained for things like Parkinson's disease and other diseases. But, in the short term, like let's say like today, for example, I'm like, bro, I didn't sleep last night, right? And I need to do all this shit today. I need to be productive. So, yeah, I took like a half a teaspoon of Makunapurins extract. That's a lot of Makunapurins, but it does a job. But I know that if I take it tomorrow, it's going to have less of an effect, or it may not. But after a while, it'll lose its effect, and it might even cause something like depression or something, okay? Something like Yohimbe. I have clients on it for short-term fat loss and or cutting weight for things like competition or something, right? Possibly. That's not always, but sometimes. As long as they're like young and healthy, obviously, right? Relatively speaking. But I know, and I warn them, I tell them, look, this is not meant for long-term use. And I have known someone who is very near and dear to my heart, and they were taking Yohimbe, not even at a high dose, like a lower dose, for a pretty long period of time. But then when they got it, and it was great, helped them lose body fat and keep the body fat off. It seemed to heal their depression or at least remedy it for a while. But eventually, that person got off the Yohimbe because we thought it was causing nosebleeds or something. We weren't sure. But I think they had nosebleeds long before they were on that. But whatever, I was like, this is probably not a good thing to have if you're having nosebleeds. Anyway, they got off that, and they had some pretty bad depression. They had like withdrawal symptoms for a while. And they had depression before they were on Yohimbe, but it seemed like they were having withdrawal symptoms from Yohimbe, and that can happen when you're on something for that long. That's that powerful. Yohimbe is very powerful. I would say even more powerful than caffeine, honestly, and has more physical effects too. Anyway, that is not sustainable, and that's the peak dynamic we're talking about. That's the mountain, okay? So anyway, if we're not looking for peaks here, if because that's literally, we want to look for the 20% of protocols that give us 80% of the results, okay? And remember, if you're living a very productive life that is in balance, like let's say you're going through medical school, for example, or you're going through residency, even worse, right? Whatever. And let's say you're working at a hospital for like, I don't know, 18 hours at a time or something. You should not be looking for things to balance out your lifestyle because you don't have a balanced lifestyle. You are exactly the type of person that would benefit from these like more extreme type of biohacks and things. In particular, things like modafinil, things like what's another one? Like maybe tyrosine and mucuna, but that's going to be a hard thing to manage. That makes sense. Or if you have a very demanding job, you're a computer programmer, you also try to train and you do all this other shit, that is fine. Or if you're trying to enhance athletic performance, for example, for a competition, and you don't want to like take steroids or anything illegal, do like performance enhancing herbs. That's what they're meant for. But just understand that there needs to be a time where you get off those herbs and where you try to live a balanced life. But anyway, for people who are just trying to like solve their mental, if you are having energy problems, if you're having mood problems with your digestion, if you're having, you're trying to be just healthy and feel normal, right? Or feel really, really good all the time, but in a sustainable and healthy fashion. You need to be looking at tonic herbs that are meant to raise your baseline over time. Not adaptogens, okay? Adaptogens are completely different. We're talking tonic herbs. Tonic herbs are not adaptogens, but many of them do have adaptogenic properties. Tonic herbs are things that literally you can take every single day, even at low dosages, and they just get stronger and stronger over time the longer that you take them, okay? We're talking things like Hoshu Wu. We're talking things like gynostemma. Even things like cordyceps and reishi, but sometimes they don't work for everyone all the time. Certain forms of ginseng and eleuthero, again, you've got to individualize it because different people need different tonic herbs, right? Right? We're not talking about freaking horny goatweed or yohimbe or anything like I took last night. And the thing is, again, like with yohimbe and this stuff, it will be very significant and effective very, very immediately. But over time, it loses effect or it becomes dangerous or negative after using for a long term. It gets weaker and weaker. Tonic herbs, oftentimes you can feel immediately, but generally speaking, they're the opposite of these stimulants. They might start off kind of small and subtle and get stronger and stronger and better over time because they literally boost your body's ability to adapt to its environment, to adapt to its diet. They enhance absorption of nutrients, for example, enhance digestion, enhance circulation and blood flow. And even though you may be able to feel it in the short term, you may actually feel it. Think about improvements in blood flow, digestion, nutritional assimilation, and then also improvements in adapting to stress over time. Think about over the long term how much healthier and better you will feel when you have that kind of like low grade boosting for years and years and years. Boost just overall boosting of the immune system, for example, is very, very common. Things like chaga mushroom, reishi mushroom, even gynostemma and these other things. They boost the functioning of your immune system. They can up regulation of glutathione and superoxide dismutase, your body's endogenous antioxidant system. They strengthen the body over time, okay? And when I go and I train today, for example, right? Let's say I go and I put my body under some physical stress when I train, okay? My body's trying to adapt to my environment at all times. It's trying to adapt to the squats I do and the jiu-jitsu training that I do. And when I'm taking tonic herbs, okay, technically you can call it adaptogenic properties maybe, it enhances my body's ability to adapt to that workload, okay? And it might help to relieve some of the fatigue that is created from training. And by the way, if if you haven't already, you need to listen to my video where I debunk supercompensation. I talk about fitness to fatigue training. Supercompensation is a myth. However, there is training adaptations and stress/fatigue that is created from training. But it doesn't happen in a supercompensation type of way. It happens, your body's always trying to adapt to its environment. And your body is always under some degree of stress and trying to recover from that stress. And these two things happen independently of each other. It's not stress and then you recover and then you adapt. That's not how it works. Anyway, your body's always trying to adapt and recover at the same time. So anyway, tonic herbs, literally, they enhance your body's adaptive processes, and they can relieve the fatigue that is generated from these things. They literally make your body more able to deal with the stresses of life. They make you stronger and more resilient. And so that is the type of herbs and supplements people should be looking at. If they're just trying to feel healthier, they're trying to be more motivated, you need balanced sleep rhythms. You need to have some form of schedule or structure in your life, okay? Or at least have a general outline of how you want your week to go at the beginning of the week. That's how Joe Rogan does his shit. And that's kind of how I have to do my thing, because I don't really have, like, deadlines with all the things that I do. Only certain things are scheduled. So, you know, like with actual, like, times. Everything else I'm, like, kind of, like, managing. But, like, I have the ability to choose my schedule on most things. Anyway, some kind of structure, some kind of rhythm. You need balance. You can't be fucking staying up all night, smoking fucking weed, and, like, wondering why you have, you know, trouble being motivated or whatever it is. You can't be drinking alcohol and, you know, doing shots and all this other stupid nonsense. You know what I mean? And then, like, you're like, why do I not feel good? I need biohacks. I need adaptogens. I need, you know what I mean? I have candida. I have low test. No, you don't. What you fucking have is an addiction to stimulation, an addiction to always seeking that next stimuli, like that. Oh, I gotta, like, get that caffeine. That I gotta try that new vitamin. I gotta, you know, keep looking for the solution to my problems. I gotta, you know, I'm addicted to Facebook and Instagram and blah, blah, blah. Get rid of the imbalanced behaviors. Get rid of especially the addiction to scrolling. And that will solve a lot of your problems as it is. Then replace those things with balance. Replace the imbalance problems or the imbalance habits with the balance habits. Stop taking these hyperstimulating herbs unless you really have a real reason to do so. Okay? And just feeling unmotivated is not a reason to look for these herbs and things. What you need to do is look for things that will balance you, that work for you. Gynosema, Hoshu Wu. Whatever it might be for you, okay? Rhodiola is great for many people, many times. For other people, rhodiola works like a peak, right? Same thing with cordyceps. Just depends on the person. And even reishi. But I think reishi, it's because people take too much at once because they're trying to remedy, like, a sleep problem or anxiety. And in reality, you should probably take 1/4 of a teaspoon every day over time. And that's probably why I had those side effects I had. I was taking too much. I wasn't using it as a real, like, tonic herb. And even for athletic performance, I'm starting to wonder if, like, you know, megadosing pine pollen and all these other things that I'm doing, ginseng and all these things, maybe what I should do instead is just get on a healthy tonic herb routine and eat a healthy diet. So another thing is, like, you know, with athletes, for example, you know, there's an imbalancing assumption that you need to, like, eat a shit ton of carbs, or especially, you know, got to get those calories in. So therefore, bump it up with jasmine rice, you know, gallon of milk a day. I've done gallon of milk a day many times. But in reality, you don't really need that much of a surplus to gain muscle. And also, if you're trying to train jujitsu and you just need energy and endurance, whatever it is, even if it's power endurance, you don't necessarily need to be in a calorie surplus because your body is more than able to convert endogenous substrates into glucose, glycogen, and ATP. Even though that's a highly controversial subject, I made many videos on it. You know, I've literally experimented with this idea, okay? And of course read all the research and all the, you know, the Renaissance periodization, nutrition books and everything. I own multiple legit textbooks, university level, on these subjects, sports nutrition and whatnot. And what I've kind of realized is, like, for me at least, I definitely feel way better when I just eat, 2 pounds of red meat a day, get my 1 gram of protein per pound of lean mass or ideal body weight, eat a moderate dose of liver or organs on a regular basis for the folate, the vitamin A, et cetera, B1, and a wide variety of other nutrients you don't get from just muscle meat. And then the type of carbs I eat, like my carb intake that I feel best on is getting carbs incidentally, right? With my meat, I'll eat fruit and maybe non-starchy vegetables. Now, the non-starchy vegetables part, I've been experimenting back and forth with. But the point I'm trying to make is the times where I have gone off the deep end and like trying to get that adequate carb intake according to the sports nutrition experts out there, I just feel horrible. And I've made videos where I talk about this, okay? And they recommend like white rice too a lot of times. But, even with, I can't digest brown rice and black rice. But anyway, when I just get a little bit of carbs incidentally, just because I'm eating it with my meal and it feels good and it tastes good, right? Because I feel like having it, not because I think I need it, right? I'm not trying to slam carbs anymore. Not trying to slam honey, right? Because that's not good. But I'll see, get like maybe, I don't know, 30 to 60, maybe 80 grams at the very most of like net carbs per day from fruit and possibly non-starchy vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, and carrots, just because I felt like having it that day. My energy's fine. I feel way, way better than if I was to do like a high carb approach, right? Anyway, all I'm trying to say is, I think this, like, we're like trying, like the tendency to try really, really hard to optimize and to make things better, right? To get the things that we think we need as far as the dopamine and carbs and all this shit, might actually be what's fucking us up. And so instead, we need to focus on rhythms, basic rhythms, sleep, basic schedule, have a good social life, have good relationships, okay? If you don't already have friendships, build friendships, okay? If you don't know how and you're not good with friends, you need to freaking read some books on this subject. There's like literally no excuse in this day and age to not have friends, unless you're just addicted to social media and you have some limiting beliefs that are keeping you from reaching your potential. And then, a balanced, diet, which is a stupid term, nebulous as hell, but I would recommend a baseline protein intake coming from animal foods, preferably red meat. Get a moderate dose of organs each day for those harder to get nutrients. Make sure you're getting your choline, your B vitamins and things. Make sure you don't have like a MTHFR gene that stops you from methylating folate and B12 and whatnot. Make sure you don't have any clinically diagnosed like nutrient deficiencies, and if you do, supplement with the isolated form. Don't be one of these people who thinks ascorbic acid doesn't work for resolving vitamin C deficiency, because it does work clinically. And just get your fruits and whatever carbohydrates you can tolerate that are whole food form, whether that's fruit, whether that's like whole grains like black rice and beans, okay? As long as you can tolerate them and they're not causing negative problems, it's better than like being in balance and thinking you have to do like repeat this, or, you know, the repeat diet, or you have to like, you know, slam like jasmine rice. Like refined carbs are not the way, or even just high glycemic load carbs in general. And then the tonic herbs, not adaptogens, or adaptogens is different. The tonic herbs you consume, balancing tonic herbs, chaga, you know, whatever it is, gynosema. And then if you need a little bit of like a boost every now and then, like motivation or whatever it might be, you know, or like, you know, like you want a boost in your sex life, like whatever, okay? Yeah, sure, take some yohimbe or take some pine pollen or whatever it is, right? But just recognize that the reason you might feel like shit could be all of the things that you do to try to not feel like shit. And also possibly a lot of very obvious things like not having the fundamentals of your diet down, drinking alcohol and getting shit-faced, having irregular sleep patterns, being addicted to scrolling on social media and whatnot, excessive masturbation and pornography. Pornography is just in general bad, but just excessive masturbation and things like that. So anyway, I'm gonna leave y'all with that. And don't take this as me saying that any of these things are bad per se. It's just that you should be striving for balance, okay? And that's where a lot of your happiness is going to come from, being productive and having balanced rhythms. That's literally how you feel fulfilled, okay? And then your relationships. Look for relationships that are productive and balanced, okay? I'm not even going to get deeper into that, but people who are looking for relationships just for companionship, or because they're lonely, or because they need an alternative to jacking off, which is so stupid, okay? You need to make sure that whatever relationship you have with someone, your main focus is compatibility and your ability to relate to that person. Whoa, relationship? You mean I'm supposed to relate to the people that I'm having relationships with or whatever? It's like, yeah, literally any relationship, whether it's friendship, whatever, that should be your focus, is compatibility. And, you know, if it's like in the context of a work situation or something, still build rapport. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say. Hopefully it's made sense, and I'll talk to y'all next time. Hopefully this yohimbe and all this other shit that I'm all right. Hopefully this shit like dies off by tonight so I could have better sleep. And I will talk to y'all next time.